Hello, Potato. So once again, as you can see, I've braved the outdoors to come to an event. This time it is the Winter 2020 SacAnime Convention, being held this time at Cal Expo. Now normally these conventions are held at the convention center downtown, but the convention center has been essentially knocked down and is being rebuilt. So that means this year they've been displaced and they've picked Cal Expo as probably about the only place in the area that could really handle the volume of people that SacAnime attracts. The downside of this is, despite there being plenty of room here for things, it's only about half to 3/4 of the normal show. A lot of stuff that's normally here is missing. There's no J-pop or K-pop dance battles. There's no viewing room. There is a kind of shoehorned and shrunken gaming room, board games and video games. Normally there are like 3 different event rooms and a couple panel rooms, and this time there's just main events. There's never more than one panel going on at a time. So I rather suspect that the vending room is going to be very packed. The vendor's room actually is probably the only thing that's not shrunk. If you've ever been to the California State Fair, you'll recognize this building as the barnyard where they show off the livestock. Over there in what are normally the shopping buildings, those are our autograph room and our soul panel room. So this is probably a bit of a mishmash of things. I'm going to take some shots around the convention and try to do some voiceover work on them, which that should be interesting for all of us. And maybe do some food stuff as well, because normally, when it's downtown, there's lots of food options. There's sushi and delis and pizza. And out here, there's really nothing in walking distance except for a Starbucks, which, thank goodness for that. But there is some food trucks here, it looks like, over on the other side of those trees. So we're gonna go check those out probably for our food today and the whole weekend. And maybe we'll throw in some food video as well. So without any more of me blabbing, I'll go to future me doing voiceover that is hopefully not utter garbage. Thank you, convention me. So here we are on Friday morning coming into the convention, or actually in the parking lot of the convention. And as you can see, the line was insanely long. I thought the line on Thursday night was long, and for Thursday night it kind of was. But this is a mess. I've not seen it be long at the downtown convention center as well, but this really is something. That first line you saw was to buy tickets. Now, normally at the convention, you buy your tickets and then you get your band at the same time. But at Cal Expo, you need to buy at the ticket booth and then wait in this line to actually get your wristband and lanyard. So this line was really long. I'm glad we came on Thursday night and picked up our passes early. So here we are. We're heading into a panel, the only panel we went to all weekend, actually. It was Steve Bloom and Mary Elizabeth McGlynn from Cowboy Bebop, although you probably know McGlynn more from Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. And, of course, they're both in lots of other things as well. I didn't record anything inside the tent because they don't allow video recording in there. But the tent was very empty because even an hour later when we came out, as you can see, that line is still really, really long to even get into the convention. So I'm thinking a lot of people who might have wanted to come to the panel couldn't. Luckily, the panel was repeated again essentially the next day with the same 2 voice actors, just called a Cowboy Bebop panel instead. So here we are inside the vendors hall. Lots of great junk here. I got some shirts, we got our manga. A lot of the vendors who usually come downtown did still come to this. So it was nice. There was still a certain continuity to what was on offer. Lots of little plush and keychains. This booth was interesting. It wasn't there the next day. There was a different booth there. But those tentacles were nice. And here we have another one of our regular booths. I usually end up buying a figure from them. I didn't this year. There wasn't really anything I particularly wanted. That Mickey was nice, but I wasn't willing to pay the much they were asking for it. There were a couple other figures I saw as well. That Pyro Jack there is actually one I got for Christmas. That probably is something I would have purchased had my wife not purchased that for me, because it goes very nicely with the Jack Frost next to it on the shelf there. If you watched my video last week, the one with the Gold King things that for some reason like 1,400 people have watched, you saw both of them together on the shelf in the background. I like these figures, these Revoltex and these Figmas. You may not have realized it from my previous videos, but I am a bit of a weeb. I also like RoboCop. You can't see him in my video last week because the shelf's too high, but I do have a nice RoboCop figure. I do think you can see the Ed 209 in the video, though. The RoboCop and RoboCop 3 figures there were like 80 and 90 bucks, and that's just not worth it. And here is some Dragon Ball figures and some other stuff that I've been kind of trying to avoid. Gundam's not an issue for me, but those samurai figures, particularly that samurai Deadpool, those are really cool. Those seem really neat to me, and I've been trying to avoid getting into that series because I just don't need another thing to collect. But that Deadpool was tempting, and if they weren't asking like 90 bucks for it, I might have gone for it. It's cheaper on Amazon, like most things are, so if I do pick it up, that's probably where I will eventually pick it up from. And here we have some shirts and some plush and Gudetama. Love Gudetama. I would kind of consider him one of my spirit animals, along with a Gretzko, which we'll see a little of later, but there's not a lot of stuff for her here. I also like those slimes from the Dragon Warrior games. Dragon Quest games. I didn't buy any shirts this time. This booth usually doesn't have ones that fit me particularly well, and the booth that does, I just wasn't feeling it enough. Got some Gashapon machines. I think it was $2 per token for these, which it wasn't anything in particular in them that I wanted, so I didn't get any. But it's nice to see them less expensive than they are at GameStop, because they're like $6 a pop there. Some nice little Sanrio figures. No Gretzko. This booth always has some cool older toys. I see they have some Tick stuff from the old animated series. And in here, they have a lot of just kind of mishmash, repackaged stuff. Generally pretty overpriced. This caught my attention because I think it's from Exo Squad. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It was a cartoon series in the 90s. It was fairly unique for a show airing on Western television in that characters would die in it, and that's not normal. Now, these I had when I was a kid. Muscle Men, or I think in Japan they were called like Kanikuman. But I loved these things when I was a kid because they were inexpensive enough that you could get your parents to buy you some, really for just no reason. But all the ones they have now, all the new ones are like licensed, or He-Man and Robotech and Aliens, and those are cool properties. But I want proper Muscle Men. I want the originals, the ones that aren't licensed to anything. This booth always has some nice stuff as well. Good licensed things from Borderland, Portal, Fallout, Blinky stuff. Love Blinky stuff. I buy these things periodically, but I don't go to dances or anything, so I really have no reason to buy them. I have like a necktie one that I bought at the state fair a few years back, and I don't know that I've worn it since then. But these are all cool. They get my attention. I love the little Blinky stuff. Reacts to the sound. It's nice. Got a nice little beak going there. This booth kind of seems out of place. I mean, I'm not saying that that weebs don't need more fruits and vegetables in their life. It just seems like it's kind of out of place at the anime show. Although not as out of place, one year Scientology had a booth there. They were gone by the second day. Pops. There are like 4 or 5 booths here at the convention that are pretty much nothing but pops. And I know a lot of people dislike these things. I don't dislike them. I like them a lot. I have probably a couple hundred of them. But the thing I don't like, or at least I can understand why people don't like, is that they are taking up space at the convention that other things could be sold at. Also, I'm not super proud to say, but I think coming up in a second here, we're going to see a section of Deadpool pops, and I have most of those. Kind of the only Deadpool pop I would like to get if I could find it at a reasonable price was the 7-Eleven exclusive one, because none of the 7-Elevens around me even know what a pop is when I asked. Got some of those gold ones there. Yep, here are those Deadpool ones. And yeah, I think we have pretty much all the ones pictured there. So that's... I don't have the clown one. I don't have the clown one. So that's, I guess, a point of pride? I don't know. I do try to limit what I buy in these things. We do have that Darth Vader one, the Christmas one. Just because they're taking up quite a bit of space in our house. I mean, not compared to other things, but taking up space. Shark Robot. I have a few shirts from them. I was kind of tempted towards that Army of Heartless shirt there. But, I mean, I've been cosplaying the conventions the last couple times, and which means I don't really have opportunity to wear the shirts, and I already get the ones in the loot crates, and well, I just don't need more shirts. And here we have some Fallout stuff. Love me some Fallout, even if 76 is not great. These badges, though, I'm torn on them, because look, like the Ministry of Silly Walks. These are things that shouldn't exist. Not like shouldn't exist in our reality, just shouldn't exist. The Punisher is hardly going to have a ID badge that says Frank Castle, the Punisher on it. I liked back in the day when it was like Mulder and Scully and stuff, but not these kind of weirder ones. I do like these little shadow boxed guns, the Punisher and the Firefly one, but they are massively expensive. And then we have the puzzle box from Hellraiser here, which is, what, the Lament of Sorrows or something like that? Or is that a Yu-Gi-Oh thing? Anyways, the Hellraiser box is cool. And some goggles and patches and other little prop replicas. And then swords. You gotta have swords. And again, I'll admit we have a couple of them. Then over here we have Kimchi Kawaii. I started to shoot that booth, and then I saw the sign saying not to. But instead I will show you what I bought there, which is a couple of her new amusement park pins. Now, you've seen some of her other stuff in the backgrounds of my other videos. I've mentioned her in one of the Haunted Mansion videos. With her Parista Poffy, the amusement park line is kind of along the same idea, but kind of loosely based on Disney, and the fact that it looks like the Haunted Mansion, that was enough for me. Damsel in Defense is another one of these kind of odd ducks at the convention. They're always there selling stun guns and stun batons and bulletproof inserts for your purse, which, I mean, I suppose these are not odd things in this world right now. So, good for them. I mean, I guess they must do well enough to keep coming back every convention. Then we have the snack booths. There's 3 or 4 of these around, and the only thing I don't like about them is there are plenty of stores in this area that sell these same things for a lot less. I can go over to the mall to go to Daiso and get Pocky and those milk teas and pretz and stuff for considerably lower prices than what they're charging. And if not Daiso, there's an Asian market in town. There's a big international market in a nearby town. There's a Japanese market in Sacramento. So, I mean, there are options. And then Vita Ramens, another one of these kind of interesting ones. And as you can see, I bought some. It's supposed to be healthy ramen. It's like 500 calories per puck. It's not like 300% of your daily allowance of salt. It's supposed to have vitamins and stuff in it. It's supposed to be arguably healthy. So you're going to see that in a future video. We're going to try that out in a future video. And then we have the Tea Turtle booth. I have a few of their shirts as well. They used to do a lot of licensed stuff, like from Disney and Pokemon. And that's all gone this time. I guess they're focusing more on their own intellectual properties with the card games, like Llamas Unleashed and... the unicorn one. You're going to see it in a second. I bought a new deck. I bought the Not Safe for Work deck. And believe me, it is not safe for work. And yep, here it comes up now. Unstable unicorns. That's what it's called. Unstable unicorns. Yep, as you can see from that middle card there, this is not a game for kids. It's a lot worse once you open it up as far as the adultness goes. It's fun, though. It's a fun game. Then we go back outside. The line has calmed down a bit. There's more people who are in the convention now than out, which is probably good. And the line may be gone from the gate, and that's because it's now all over here at the food trucks. So we decided, try to get something to eat. That beignet booth is usually at the state fair. You may recognize Dolfo's Donuts there from my Mandarin Festival video, where we tried the Mandarin Donut Bowl from them. I didn't get anything from them this time. Didn't really see anything that interesting until I saw somebody with a cone from that place right there, Bubble Cone. That's where we decided to pick up some lunch. And in just a moment, we're going to pick up with Convention Me to tell you how that went. Well, we can't do a video at an event without some food. I probably mentioned this in the voiceover already. So we went to a food truck called Bubble Cone, and I have picked up for myself. They do ice cream ones as well, but we haven't eaten anything today, so I thought something savory would be good. I went for buffalo. Comes in these little waffle bubble wrap things that I've never tried before. Some popcorn chicken, some buffalo sauce, some crushed red pepper. It's supposed to come with green onion, but they didn't have any. And my wife picked up the cheesy, which is just cheese and the popcorn chicken. So let's give them a try. I'll start with the buffalo. It's kind of a pretty basic thing here. And yeah, big piece of chicken. But that's what you expect. Some nice heat and tanginess from the buffalo sauce and chicken. Decent quality chicken. Let's try some of the cone. Kind of a sweetness to that, which makes sense. It's a waffle, and they use the same things for the ice cream versions. So let me try some of the cheesy. Again, pretty straightforward. Cheese on chicken. And I'm going to say that's a cheddar cheese sauce. I was kind of thinking it would be like nacho, but it doesn't have any of that kind of spiciness to it. But yeah, these aren't bad. It's something different. I haven't seen the bubble cone truck around before. So, and I kind of thought at first it was going to be like a boba tea sort of thing. Yeah, this is not bad. I would get these again maybe as a dessert item. instead of just the savory item. But yeah, this is decent. And now back to future me doing voiceover for the rest of the convention. Thank you, convention me. We're back inside now. We're getting towards the end of day one here. In the past, my wife has picked up one of these little kind of derpy looking dinosaurs, and then we have derpy not baby shark, and I like the look on these ones. I didn't get one, but I do like the look of those. My wife, however, did pick up another of these little derpy dinosaurs. I think the one that she already had is blue, and as you can see in just a second here, yep, this time she picked up a pink one. Isn't it cute and derpy, and it'll look nice on display somewhere. Right now it's on a table. Recording in progress. Well, if you can record me, I can record you. Then we have these overpriced little charm things, like 15-20 bucks a piece. Cute, but not worth that kind of price. I like this little guy. I was tempted to get him, just this kind of chill looking colossal titan, like walking by and saying, "Sup." I have one of these guys. I don't think he shows up in my videos, but he doesn't work. Or if he does, I have never figured out how to make him work. I even actually returned him and replaced him for another one, and he still didn't work. I don't think it was from this booth. It was from another booth that's usually there. I like the design on that one, too. I haven't played a Dragon Quest game since, like, PS2. Then we have Grab Bags, the blind box of anime shows. And I didn't buy the ones previously, but I did buy one of these dinosaur egg ones. That booth's always there. They always have those. I feel fairly confident that whatever's in there will at least be of quality, if not necessarily something I like. But we'll find out in a future video. I actually picked up a couple other ones. The second one you're not going to see in the video. The booth that was at had asked me not to record, or had motioned through a mouthful of food not to record. But I picked up one that said it was Detective Conan. You may know that better as Case Closed, if you know it at all. And then you'll see the other one in day 3. So here we are at day 2. As you can see, the lines are still fairly long. Nothing like they were on day 1, but still fairly long. Again, we already have our passes. Our wristbands were on, so we got to just cruise right on by all this nonsense. I will be glad when the convention moves back downtown, because I like being able to go to our usual sushi place and go to our pizza place, and this really kind of was disruptive. And on top of that, there wasn't a lot to do. I would love to show you more than just the convention's vendor room and the people just mulling about outside, but there isn't anything else. There's normally other panels we can go to, and there's a viewing room, but this one, it was all about the vendors hall. And here we are back inside for day 2. As you can see, it's a little busier than day 1. It got worse. You'll see it, I think, towards the end of the day 2 part of the video here, that this room gets really crowded. The worst areas were areas I didn't shoot in, which was Artist Alley. Generally, back there, every booth will say no photos or no photos without asking, so I just didn't video back there at all, or at least not much. With an 18-inch Batman pop. I thought my big Ezra pop was obnoxiously large, but 18-inch, that's a doorstop. Actually, I think we have a Santa Claus that's about that size. Garbage Pail Kid pops. Do you remember Garbage Pail Kids? Are you old enough to remember Garbage Pail Kids? Those were awesome when I was a kid. The stores would always mark them up. Remember when Pickle Rick was a big thing? You probably remember that. Surely you're old enough for that. I actually have an Artist Alley plush Pickle Rick from back when that was first a big thing, before it was all played out. And I like it. I like it better than a lot of the official licensed stuff. What is this guy? Is that a Goomba from Mario? I have no idea what he is. He got my attention, though. And then over here Yep, I found a Gretzko. I didn't buy one. They're cute, but I don't want an Agretzko plush. What I really want is an Agretzko figure, a Revoltech or a Figma or even a Nendoroid. I think she lends herself well to Nendoroid. I don't normally go for Nendoroids. This guy's coat is amazing. I didn't include a lot of the cosplayers that I got some footage of in here just because I didn't ask them if I could put it on YouTube. But I didn't really show this guy's face, and that coat is just too amazing not to share with you. And we have the Yowie Booth and the underage girl waifu pillow booth. Not judging. You're into what you into. I did like this Kingdom's Heart umbrella. I was kind of tempted there. The Keyblade umbrella was cool. And then off on the side of this booth, there are these backpacks. And I like the look of them to begin with, the kind of geometric designs. But check out what happens when I turn the light on my camera on. Yes. Now that doesn't look like that to the naked eye, unfortunately. It shows up that way on cameras. I'm not sure what that would do, say, on a security camera, but if it looked like that to the naked eye, I probably would have bought one of those backpacks. And we're back outside. You can see there's a lot more people here again. This is Saturday. It's the big day. It's the day that if you're buying at the gate, it costs more than pre-purchasing the entire weekend. And we got some foam sword fighting over there. I don't know if LARPing is quite right to call it, because there wasn't a story or anything, but the foam sword fighting was nice. I could get into that. Maybe. I mean, it would require being more active. And then, one of the things that surprises me at SacAnime, for all the things that they don't allow, they let people bring in, like, boom boxes. Like big boombox style, block rocker, Bluetooth speakers, and it surprises me. I'm all for having a little speaker clipped on your bag, playing music from your show or game, but people bring in just, if your speaker requires a luggage cart, it's too big to be bringing into the show. And we have the Alien and Predator attacking, I think it's a Racerhead from My Hero Academia. These guys are great. They're at every show. Red Green would be proud of what they can do with duct tape. I found these little babies just stuck in this little water access. These water accesses, I think, are used normally for the livestock during the state fair. I don't know what those babies were doing there, but I left them there. It seemed like they probably could be cursed. And here we go. You can see, like I said earlier, it got much more crowded. And here it is, much more crowded. It's still walkable, not so much an artist alley like I was saying before, but you could maneuver. I don't know how some people cosplay some of these outfits. I was incredibly warm dressed as Red Green, and that's just, a vest and a light flannel, and I don't see other people like walk around dressed in those furry costumes or like Wookiees. It just seems like you'd pass out from the heat. And here we are at the end of day 2. We kind of left early. We normally don't leave before sundown, but we also normally have more things to do there, and there's only so many times you can wander around the vendor hall. On the way out, we ran into this awesome little anime car out in the parking lot. There are a few of these in this area. This one obviously is themed towards Bakugo from My Hero Academia, and I think they did a really good job. I mean, it's a Toyota Kachan. They got the license plate. They've got the art on the sides and the hood. I'm always very impressed by these. I know some people locally like to mock them, but I think they look really nice. And we'll jump ahead now to the morning of Sunday, day 3, the last day of the show. And the third day is usually pretty chill. It's a little busier than Friday, but people are a little more tired, a little more quiet. The fact that the rain held off all weekend was nice. especially given how much of the space there was outdoors. But it wasn't as busy as day two. Maybe a little busier than day one, especially inside the vendor hall. Normally they have a vendor hall only ticket for Sunday. Just means you can't go to any of the panels, but they didn't have that this time since most of the show was the vendor hall. And I did stop by Kimchi Kawaii again and picked up one of her mystery bags. So that'll be a future video. I don't know if that's going to be next week or the week after, because I have a Loot Crate video all ready to go. And that's getting less and less timely as we wait. But at the same point, I mean, SacAnime is over, but well, right now that I'm recording it, it's over. By the time you see it, it certainly will be. I like that picture. I've never looked to see how much the shirt would be, but this is the first time I've ever noticed, and I've seen this picture there for years, that he's got his foot on Darth Vader's helmet. And so we just continued around from here, kind of just taking a final sweep through. There weren't any panels that we particularly wanted to go to, or the panel at any given time wasn't anything we particularly wanted to go to. So the last day really was just about kind of spending the rest of the money in your wallet. I liked that Plain Crazy Mickey backpack there, but my wife liked this one, and so she got it. It'll give her something to bring to our third Saturdays at the Disney store, which this year is going to be a nice little Disney Minnie Mouse collection. Here we see Hello Kitty doesn't care if you want to buy her or not. She's flipping you the bird. Isn't that precious? And then over here, I saw a lot of bigger versions of these too. It seems to be a new thing for the show, which is these dogs as bread plush. I guess they sort of supplanted the old alpaca, Alpacaso, I believe it was called. Yeah, a lot of those this time around. And in the spending a few last dollars, I did go back over to the manga booth and picked up the Shiver Collection by Junji Ito. If you've ever read any Junji Ito, you know how whacked out he is. And if you haven't, look him up. I did buy a couple other manga at that booth back on the first day, but I can't find the footage of that. It was just the newest volume of Haganai, which is a very fan-servicey high school manga, and a volume of Hayate the Combat Butler I didn't have. And don't worry about that guy that just fell down there. He does get back up. He was okay. He just slipped on the wet pavement. Even though it hadn't rained while we were there, it did get very wet overnight. But here we are. It's the end of the show, at least the end for us. We didn't stay very long on Sunday. Again, just as I've said probably a dozen times in this video, not a lot to do. We spent our money, probably more than we should have. And here we are, just taking some final looks around on the way out. I see a lot of people are just kind of sitting down, hanging out. This is a good show if you brought friends with you and you just want to hang out, maybe bring a card game, maybe play some Unstable Unicorns. Be a very good show for that, provided you don't mind sitting on the ground, because Cal Expo did not provide a whole lot of seating. So I'm going to say goodbye to you now. In just a few seconds here, you're going to get a real, probably horrifying surprise of me in cosplay as Red Green saying goodbye to you then. Well, that about wraps it up for the show. We spent a lot of money, bought a lot of junk. Some of it will be in future videos. If my wife is watching, I'm coming home right after the con, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the little bell icon so that you know when new videos are posted. And for myself, Harold, and all the guys down at the Possum Lodge, keep your stick on the ice.